All around stuff. This is part two of HVAC, or heating and cooling, where you have uneven room temperatures, particularly at night when the doors are closed. This is going to be part two, and I'm going to show you how you deal with it. Now, first thing, if you leave the door open, you don't have a problem. You can just leave the door open all the time, and air will be able to come out of the outlet vents, and the blower unit that's in the attic or wherever it is will be able to suck some of that air back up to the return and then back to the furnace where it heats or cools and send it back out again. Just leave the door open. Now, there are cases where you really don't want to leave the door open for various reasons. And I've got a picture here. Maybe you'll be able to see it properly. Okay, what I got here is right here. This door is actually a powder room. It's on the main floor, and it's for guests to use and so on. And it is always closed. For one reason, it's a pathway here into the far right here. So this room is a laundry room. So I don't want this door hanging open all the time. Now, you probably can't see it. Maybe I marked it. Oh, up here, there's a little V arrow, and right here, I have what's installed is an automatic door closer. So this door is automatically closed all the time. Now, not necessarily latched shut, but you grab the handle, open the door, and you can let go and the door will shut on its own. This door is always closed. Now, it has an outlet vent in it. You can't see very well, but down here at the bottom there is a pretty good gap between the floor and the lower edge of the door. And so some air does get out of there, but I don't think it's enough. And that's one example of a door that is always closed. Now, the laundry room here, that door is not normally closed. It could be, but it's not. Here's another example of a door that is always closed. This is, let me get right there. This is a double set of doors that go into what I call my office, where I'm sitting right now. And you'll notice this panel, there's no doorknob on it. This panel is normally latched at the top up here. And this panel with the doorknob on it, you just simply push to walk in, and that. But because of dogs, and I didn't want everybody and his brother, normally keep this closed. This is right near the front door. So when you come in the foyer, this sits right off the foyer. When you come in the foyer, I don't want people, and in fact, I have curtains over the glass panels for most of it. But here's another type door, and this is a two-panel. One's fixed, although it can be opened, and the other is just push. And there's another type of door. You'll notice at the bottom that there is a pretty good gap between the floor and the lower edge of the door. So some air is getting out of there. But I can tell you in the wintertime, it'll get really hot in here. And in the summertime, it can get really cold in here because the air is leaving in here. It's not being pulled back out. Okay. That's examples of, now this door, that door right there is what is known as a hollow core door. What I mean by that is it doesn't have a lot of wood on it. It's got some wood around all the edges, this way and up, and then and it's glued. The actual appearance of the door is like a molded piece of fiber wood, or whatever you want to call it. I use Melback. I don't know what it is. It's a compressed man-made fiber that is molded into that shape, and then literally glued to the outside of a very narrow, it's not even a 2x4, it's like a 2x2 piece of wood that goes around. And the hollow, it actually uses cardboard in there to keep the door, this fake panel here, in place. Now this is not a hollow core door because we've got big heavy glass panels on both sides, and down here at the bottom, this is solid wood down in here, solid. And these are made obviously because they've got the glass panels. Now one of the things you will notice on this one is if you look at the top, the amount of space I have between the top of the door and the door edge, frame edge, is very small. Whereas at the bottom, I have a lot of room down here between the lower edge of the door and in the window panel. Okay. On the hollow core door, I have a similar sort of thing. Very narrow edge up here at the top from the top of the door to the door jamb. And on the bottom, I got a pretty good size. You can see right there, that panel. It's a pretty good size at the bottom, but not at the top. While I'm pointing that out, as like I said, if you want to leave the door open all the time, it's not a problem. But if you have a vent in that room and you don't have a return line dedicated for that room, then air is going to get pushed in that room with no escape unless it can seep out underneath of the door. So, all right, can't leave the door open all the time. So what do you got to do? Well, it's pretty obvious. You got to punch a hole in the door. Put a vent in the door. Okay, so you say, well, I don't want to cut a hole in the door. I mean, from a functional point of view, you just cut a piece of the bottom out and leave it there, but that's not right. I mean, the dogs could crawl through that hole, or peepers could get on the floor, peep in. That'd be no good. So this is not an uncommon problem, and I think it's dealt more commonly in Europe than it is in the United States, but I could be wrong, and depending on where you are in the United States, you may be normally, and you see them all the time, are these door vents. Now this is a small door vent. What I found is, and I'll go back to these pictures again, they all look very similar, but they can be different sizes. These guys are pretty much standard size. This hollow core door, and size of top to bottom, and the thickness of the door is like 1¼ inch or something. It's not very thick at all. Now these are also about the same thickness, but again, these are solid wood at the bottom. So you're going to cut a hole in the door. Now this particular kind is just it's a plastic thing. You cut a hole for the size of this opening in here, this part, okay? And this is actually, the outside dimensions is 18 inches by 4. So when it's installed in your door, it would be 18 inches across here and 4 inches high. Now this particular one can be installed if you wanted, right in the middle of that door down there. You could cut a hole, and I would cut the hole in the fixed panels over here. You can cut a hole right in the center of it, and then you mount this, and the screw, it has screws. It doesn't come with screws, but you would use screws. You would put this piece through the back side, you put the trim on the front side, and use screws, and it's held into place. And you don't have a raw opening, but you can't see through it although light would come through it. But this is, well, you can see through it again because you can see my hand on the backside over there if I tilt it this way. This will let air come out of that room. You might need this on certain doors because you just don't have room for the big boy. And this is a big boy, and I'll show you the difference. This is an 18 by 4, and I've forgotten its marked on here somewhere, but it's for the big doors, those double panel doors. And you can see the difference in the amount of airspace that's going to be go through. Now this particular vent, it's got some cardboard inside of it, and it's like a baffle. I can see through it. I don't know if you can see through it. Sort of. You can. It's mainly a noise baffle and some light, so it provides some level of privacy. But this one, you cut a chunk out of the door, and this then you have to start at the bottom. You have to cut a chunk absolutely out of the bottom, and then this gets pushed up into the door the opening you've cut in the door. This guy you can put right at the bottom if you wish, or you can put it up in the center of the bottom panel. I found it was just easier to make a template and cut out from the bottom where this fits in. And what it looks like when you do that, this is a double set of doors, but you can see down there, that's what it looks like with this installed at the bottom with a cutout that I did right here. Now this door is fixed. It's latched at the top. Normally it's not left open. And this other door can be left open or it can be closed at night. This is the door it opens. This door normally doesn't. That's why I put this panel in here. And you'll notice I don't have a lot of room at the top, so it's not like I could really put this panel up here. All right, that's what it looks like. This is a close-up view. You'll see that it's flush with the bottom of the door. The screws are not obvious from the front. They go through the back. And this is going to allow some air to come out of that room where normally at night it's a bedroom and it's closed. Okay, this big boy. This big boy here, it might appear to have more thickness, but it will fit in a one and with a standard size width thickness doors. And you do have to pay attention. You may have an odd sized door, maybe be thicker than normal or thinner than normal. But I think hollow core doors are all pretty much the same thickness. The ones with the glass panels in it, they were similar or similar enough that I could cut out and then push up this in the hole. And this outer trim here, this guy, covers up the hole completely. And all you do in that case is you put two screws up through the bottom here, and that holds this in place. It just slides up in. It's meant for the door groove around. Okay. Here is a picture where I have two of the big boys, two of them installed on this door. Now, the reason I did that, this is downstairs, and I have a heat pump down there. I only have one return vent in the whole downstairs area, and this is behind this door is a full bedroom with a bath and a closet, all that. And it's got a huge vent in the ceiling, and not a normal rectangular vent, but a huge vent. So the AC people realize that it's a farthest run from the blower unit, so they increase the size of the vent up there to let more heat and more air in, cool in. But on the other hand, what they didn't think and didn't care about was that it's a bedroom. This door is normally going to be closed every night that the bedroom is occupied. During the day, you can leave it open, no sweat, no problem. But at night, it's going to get a massive amount of cool or hot air, or whatever, heated or cooled air. Now, because it's the farthest away from the return line, I didn't think one of the little ones like this was going to be adequate. So I used the big one. Now, why did I do two? Because I wasn't sure. The one at the bottom is going to pull the denser air, i.e. the cooler air out. So if we're cooling, the cool actually fills to the bottom and then the whole room fills up from the bottom to the top to make it cool throughout. Okay? Or it in the heating system, it heats at the top. Heat actually manages to work its way down. It has to fill that space with heat first. So what I did was pummel it up here to let it pull back some of the heat. This one has to pull back some of the cool air. But I felt this one because it was the farthest away from the return vent. And it is a really good size room. It has a massive output vent in that room that I needed too. All right, that's the whole thing on venting. I haven't run a test yet. I have some of them installed, as you see. I still have some more to go. I haven't done any sort of test, but I will. And what I'll do is tape some toilet paper or free toilet paper hanging down in front of the vents. I'll start up the blower and I'll see what I got. I know it will improve some air return to that blower. And hopefully the real question is that bedroom that's the farthest from the return grill with the filter in it, if the top and the bottom of the big vents really do help, that's the room that's usually the issue. It's too hot or it's too cold. That's not going on stuff today. This shows you what, and I bought both of these venting pipes, the big boy and also the little guy, this guy, off of Amazon. Now, these little guys, they come out of Europe, made by the EU, and they're like $16 a piece, which I think is crazy expensive for what they are, and they do not come with screws. And I forgot right up the top, I think it's number 12 screws, 1 1/4 inch long. But anyway, you'll have to, these guys came with screws and just go at the bottom. But at any rate, I got these all off of Amazon. There are plenty of people who sell this stuff. It is a common practice. Not common, I was not aware of it. I've never seen it before at any house I've been to, but maybe because people just didn't know that. I'm talking about forced air heating and cooling. If you got another different type, probably might not need these. Let's look around the stuff for today. This is explaining what I'm doing. I'm cutting a hole in the door. You go, oh no, I cannot cut a hole in the door. Well, it's a handyman job, and it's not a terrible job. You make a template for the cutout, you draw it on the door, use a saber saw or a regular. Anyway, use a saw, hand saw, saber saw, a board saw, whatever you call it. You cut that out, you slide it in, you fit it in. You might have to use a wood file to maybe make it perfect to fit it right, but it's no big deal, and a handyman can do it real easily. I think the last time I cut it, it takes like 5-10 minutes to cut. If everything's perfect, you slide it right up in, you screw it, and that's done. On stuff. This is Happy Valentine's Day, the 14th of February, 2026. If you don't care about it, but the third part of this will be actually showing you how I take the door off and how I do the cutting of it, and then finally installing I'll call them vents for proper room temperature balance. Bye-bye for now.